For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Outwell. So with me here today, I've got the Outwell Tennessee. So the Tennessee actually comes in 3 different sizes. So it comes in a 5 air, a 7 air and a 6+2 air. So what I'm going to show you basically in terms of feature-wise, we're talking about the same throughout of it. We have done a separate video for the 6+2 just because it's functionally a little bit different. But as I said, the feature set is about the same. So with me here, I've actually got the 7. But I think I'll say this, they also make a 5, so if you want something a little bit smaller than something like the 7, that is a great option. The whole Tennessee collection sits actually in Outwell's Select range. So the Select range is basically a collection designed to be very price savvy, but still very feature rich. So you've still got the DNA of Outwell of how it's put together, the workmanship, the things that make them what they do. But the more important point is actually it's been kind of designed really to hit certain key price points. So what you get for the value that you pay generally is quite sharp. So that is something that's certainly to be aware of. Now, what we're looking here is I would call a free zone tent, i.e. sleeping, living, and an enclosed front canopy section. Across the range, really, it's quite nice. It uses a 4000mm high straight head, 70D material, so it's a good sort of waterproof level, above and beyond what probably most people will be in a similar sort of category, but still a resilient kind of 70 denier with a UPF rating of 30 plus, so works really quite nicely. It's completely air, so we've got on this model I think 5 inflatable chambers. You get a manual stirrup pump supplied with it. Each beam is done individually. There is a point on the opposite side located about here-ish, and that's what you then basically use to inflate and deflate. It's kind of like a dinghy style valve, so it's a very big opening, great to get the air in and out, and like I said, the stirrup pump comes supplied with it as standard. The whole model can be pitched by one person, I myself. I pitched the model, I think it was about 13 minutes from start to finish. We've done like a tutorial video to go through everything of it, so you can have a look at that and show you how it's done. I think we used the larger 7 for that as well, so that's probably the worst case scenario it's going to be. But for me, one thing I do love about kind of Outwell in their ethos of what they do, it's the finer details that are the crucial points. So, for example, they use TPU tubes, really nice reliable tubes. Each tube is pretty much, you can almost buy a spare if you wanted to, and one spare would pretty much do the whole tent. You just fold it over on the opposite end. We've got a really nice kind of, the fabric itself is like an embossed material to it as well, so it looks quite premium. Lighter sort of shade of the roof helps to give a bit more daylight inside. We've got sort of tinted windows as well, so give it an element of privacy, but there are also curtains to get the privacy when you want to, which are located on the inside. We've got, this is going to be like your wet dry area. When we look at sort of things like guy ropes, high visibility guy ropes, we've also got retainers as well to keep it all at bay. What they actually do is they fixate in 2 points on the actual tent, so you can see it's distributed either side. This means you haven't got one solid point you go into. It's sort of, so it dissipates the tension into 2 points, so you've got a much more stronger point to attach to. The runner on there as well helps you obviously to tension it without having to repeg it. On the bottom points here, pretty much they're all kind of webbing straps. So again, you peg in something solid and you can tension it as you need to. On the front, other things with them as well, what you find is on the main front and back peg points, there's a little bit of webbing that only goes from the point here and direct into the seam. So again, it also means that the strain of that is being put not only into the center part, but also into wings. So it just means you have more rigidity, and actually it's going to last longer with a bit of time and, you know, wear and tear generally, just kind of built quite nicely. We've got beautiful crystal clear kind of slight tinted windows to the front, a centralized door. Like I said, we've got here is 7, and this actually runs around about 440 in the width. The 5 you jump down to it's a 340 width, and then the 6+2 is 4 meters in width, but it's a little bit longer. Admittedly, the 5 is a bit shorter than 7, because it's just, I think it's all built to kind of go, and what you kind of get is about 60 centimeters per person in kind of the sleeping section. So really, I'd probably say it's not going to be a true 7. It's really going to be more like a very comfy 5, or probably a 6 at a push. Whereas your 5 is going to be probably a comfy 4, or an ultimate comfy 3 as well. So just bear that in mind, and we'll look at that when we get into side of tent at later rate in the video. Other sort of points to mention as well is the fact that we've got quite a solid door. So we call it like a J door, so it goes up, around, in like an upside down J thing. But for me, the one thing that kind of sits is out about, in comparison to what else is on the market, is kind of the features you got in it. What Outwell have really tried to do is kind of, like I said, give you the Outwell DNA, but you've still got critical features like zips on all the base of the doors to get that proper seal, mesh on the front and the side doors. You've got their quick and quiet door as well, bigger ventilation at the back. So there's lots of different things, and we're going to kind of go through those in the video and get a bit more up close and personal with that as such. Weight-wise, we're looking in the region of about 20, I think it's about 27 kilograms for the 5, 34 for the 7, and then when you go to the 6+2, it's about 40 kilograms. So just because it's a little bit longer and you get an extra bedroom included with it, hence why it sort of dictates a bit bigger. All comes in kind of like a standard oversized bag, so it's just like a holder bag, no wheels or anything to it, just a nice standard bag, but it still works well. Warranty, looking on this, about 2 years without one as well, so again that's probably above and beyond what most of the brands do, but generally they are, again, built quite well. We've got a door on the side which you can't see because obviously of the angle we've got the actual tent itself, but for me I think it's just kind of the lightness to it. We've got low level ventilation beneath the window to help circulate air and kind of keep it a bit fresh on the inside. The material's basically waterproof in a way it's a bit more eco-friendly as well, and doesn't really use any sort of PVC elements just to give it its waterproof coating. But you can see how well the windows kind of sit, and actually the windows are quite big in comparison to a lot of other brands as well, so that helps to give some natural daylight into it. In fact, let's bring the camera around a little bit just to kind of get a bit more of a better look into the actual tent itself. So as we can kind of see. So the first thing as we walk in, I can sort of have to dip a little bit to get into the door itself, but the depth of this sort of front area is quite nice. We've got a little cupboard unit on the side here. More than happy, this is going to be a sort of wet dry area, somewhere you can cook under, obviously have a ventilation open of course, or store things. There is no ground sheet supply for this section. When you buy the footprint, then it covers into this section as well, and actually sort of toggles up to give you that bit more of a thorough seal. As we move into kind of the main living area, what we find actually is one of the key features is the zip along the bottom zips up and gives you a complete enclosure. That's one of the things a lot of other brands don't actually do. Certainly when you come to this price point, when you sort of step up to their higher range, it's a feature you do see, but for Outwell, that's a fundamental feature. A lot of people do like that as well. The door itself zips all the way around, zips along the bottom. So you've got the option of a trip-free access or that thorough kind of seal. We've got 2 mesh windows on the sort of side of the door here as well, just to allow airflow directly in. And when you want that privacy, there are curtains that kind of toggle up halfway or fully up to the top. But for me, when you're in 7, it's definitely the better of the 2 in terms of sizes, but it's the sheer room you've got in here. Like I say, I'm about 6'2", can stand up happily in the central part itself. But even when you get to the corners, that's generally not too shabby actually. You are going to have a little bit, and it's used as pre-angled beam to try and help and accentuate the height, but also means you have furniture a little bit sort of close to the outside. You have got things like cable entry points located on the side, so down the bottom here, there's one, and what you've then got is Outwell's hook truss system. It's like a beading that goes onto the actual beam itself. It means you can hang things like lights and that sort of stuff directly inside the tent. In fact, let's bring the camera a little bit closer just to get a bit more of a feel for the living. So yeah, again, it's a really nice open, and this being the 7, you get the full sort of 440 width. We've got a setup, as you can see, a little table, chairs, and that stuff, and that works really quite nicely. That's the hanging light, which we've got, obviously just helps give a bit more ambience, and it's little hooks that obviously attach to the system. We've got a side door over here as well, so we've got a mesh built onto it, so for airflow, that works really well. We saw the low-level ventilation underneath the windows into the main living area, again, help to circulate the air. Across the back, now depending if you went for the 5, the 6, or 6+2, or the 7. With the 7, what I've got here is a 120, 120, and a 180 in centre. So this is going to be sort of your master bedroom, whereas you've got 2 kind of smaller bedrooms on either side. The thing with also the master bedroom is actually you also benefit from the feature of Outwell's quick and quiet door, and again, it's quite a premium feature, so it's nice to actually have it on the actual tent itself. Let me just practice. So you can use it as a conventional door if you wanted to, but it's been designed that you can basically come and go without using the zip itself. So you can walk in to the door, and it then magnetizes behind you. In the front panels of the door as well, you've got mesh built into it, so you can also get airflow, a bit of light. There is a slight dark tint to the bedroom section, so but it works really quite smartly. When you move down to the 5, you still have that quick and quiet door. It just basically goes to a sort of 120, and then I think a 160, or 180 from memory. When you move to the 6+2, sorry to confuse you, it basically you go 120, 120 and a 140 centrally, but then you also get an extra 2-berth bedroom that kind of goes in the front section, but can go into the main living area as well. So has an element of flexibility, but check out that video for a bit more of an in-depth into it. One thing I do quite like is the bedrooms are slightly bit deeper than your standard bedroom. So they're about 220 deep internally, which means you can get sort of slightly higher beds in. So they kind of do over-spec it in that sense. We have dividers between the 2 sections. They are toggled at the bottom, but then they're also physically sewn in at the top. So if you wanted one big open bedroom, you can also roll that up and have that, or if you wanted, say, just a larger 4 and a 2, whatever, how you want to do it. Like I said, for me, in theory, that's meant to sleep 3. I think personally, a nice big master with 2 is more than adequate, and that's what I think for the 7 is like a perfect comfy 4. Like one kid there, adults in the centre. Or you can, if you want, fit 2 in there, 2 in here and 1 in there. So a 5 push, but I think 7 is really kind of over-egging it. You could go with 2 and a 2. But we've got a nice big ventilation point at the back here, which will come round to the back of the section in a second. But you can see you get great visibility on there. There's little blinds internally if you wanted to obviously put up. There is also a hanging point. So if you wanted to put like a little lantern or some little lighting inside of here, you can quite happily do that. You've got storage pockets not only on the front of the bedroom, but also inside the bedroom on 2 ends as well. So you can put things like keys, phones, that sort of stuff easily accessible. There's also a cable entry point into the bottom, at the bottom here as well. So you can get a mains cable directly in, and because the cable entry point for the main tent is on the side there, that helps that with that as well. We've also utilised the actual toggle points to run these little lighting through, so it's again a good use of space, whether you want to use the hook track system that's at the top to have like hanging points, and you can almost try and create like almost like a bit of a makeshift point across here if you wanted to suspend the light midway or use it for a hanging point. But for me, I think the hook track system again is something you don't normally see. There's a premium feature in kind of what I'm going to call more of an entry price pointed tent itself. But I tell you, let's actually give a bit more of an overview and get some up close and personal to some of these overall features. So we'll start with actually the main sort of front canopy section of the tent. So you can see decent sort of depth. You've got a little storage cupboard quite nice and neatly in there. Plenty of room either side. You can even probably have your little board in there, but you've got curtains for this front section. So if you wanted to completely enclose this sort of front awning, you can do. And again, it's not something you can do with everyone. Outwell have also introduced their kind of basically their security system. So it's basically these webbing straps that come kind of like here, and it's designed that basically helps to velcro the tube to the main body. What it's designed to do is give more rigidity, certainly in the corners. We can see it here, just kind of gives you more rigidity, stops any movement between 2 sections sort of torsionally, and works really quite smartly. There is little toggle up points located on the bottom here. Again, that is for the ground sheet footprint when you want it to. Mesh on the 2 windows either side of the door, and then we've got that sort of, like I said, trip-free access directly in. Side door, as we can see on the left-hand side here, which works really well. And then we've also got curtains and a low-level ventilation point beneath, as you can probably just about see. Here we're running with the hook track system, so you can see we've got the hooks that go onto that, so again you can have a light suspended down, but it runs the whole way along and also down, so we've just run the cable down and then run it across, and then it's gone down directly into the bedroom. But the cable entry point, you can see probably the cable coming in down just at the bottom there, and that is next to the little cable entry point that's located down there, running straight into the mains. Storage pockets as previously mentioned, but we've got a nice little bedroom. So that's actually kind of the 120 bedroom. We've got a little bedroom, a little bed in there, and you can see you probably struggle to get 2 in there if I'm being perfectly honest. But there's little storage pockets located on the bottom as well, and we've got the divider, which kind of opens up and keeps all the sections there. The little magnets, click quick and quiet as we've seen, but that's that big sort of mesh directly at the back to allow sort of light directly in if you wanted to, or visibility out. But you can see how boastful kind of this main sort of master bedroom is, as we call it. More storage pockets located on the bottom, and again the same kind of setup of size. That's where I think for me this would be like the ultimate comfy for, just the way it's set up. But you see, more importantly, you've got the zip fully along the side for the airflow, and because you've got mesh windows either side, that's going to be your bug-free barrier. And because again the door zips up, you know, you can have a light on at night inside that main body and still not have to worry about the bugs and that sort of thing coming in. As we head around the back, you can see that nice big vent that we've kind of fully opened to allow airflow throughout the back. So again, it's to keep it a bit cooler. We've also got the little webbing straps located down the bottom here as well. Little ties for the cable inch, so the guy ropes. You can have the option of closing these off if you really wanted to. So you can actually undo this. And what if I didn't have one hand? So basically it kind of comes down, zips completely shut. There's also little stays, so you can actually have it kind of poking out. So you have a little bit of air coming in, but obviously with rain and stuff, keeping it nice and tidy. A centralized point located there as well, just to help give that roof and keep it looking really tall. But I think on the whole, you'd have to agree, it sits really quite well. Looks really quite nice. You can see kind of the sort of element of the tint inside. I mean, it's different with the brighter light outside as such. But I think on the whole is a great model. It kind of takes over really from the Stonehill, which we saw for the 24 season. So it's a nice newer version of that to a certain degree, but it sort of steps up in terms of, I suppose, the different sizing and options you can go for. So on the whole, I think it was very well received, very feature rich. I think on the whole, I like it. I think when you consider what you pay for what you get, compare it with a lot of the brands, it's going to be a little bit more money in terms of probably a like for like, but you can see where that's going. You know, things like the zipping on the bottom of the doors, the quick and quiet magnetic bedroom doors, the hook track system, the mesh on the side, the mesh on the front, the deeper slightly bedrooms with the rear ventilation point option extras, the stability with the beams, the way they seal the ground sheets. There's always little things that obviously add up to the price, hence why it reflects why you pay a little bit more. So I think overall, what you pay, what you get in terms of value for money, I think is a real nice benefit. Certainly when we have a look at having on our indoor display showrooms, so when we come into the shop, we'll give us a call beforehand just to make sure we have got it all up and running. But as a full, I like the Tennessee. I think the 7's definitely been more popular than the 5, but then it's the 5 has an option for those people who want a little less space, or for a couple or a family of 3, for example. Whereas I think the 7's more your bigger family camping tent, and being 440 width, it's no bigger than most of the ones on the market really. It should pretty much fit on a standard pitch. It's not too deep as well, which again is quite a crucial thing. But yeah, for more information or individual stats and things, you can check the link below this video, take you through to our website where we've got things like pack sizes, floor dimensions, individual features all listed for you as well, so you can sort of compare and contrast between different models. But on the whole, I think a great tent, a real nice, something fresh to sort of look at, and again, something a bit different. Usually price point tents or more budget tents tend to be more stripped back, whereas I think this, you get the quality, you get the features, and you don't get the big price point that you to have to, you know, accommodate that. So yeah, that's our little video review on the Tennessee, mainly the 5 and then the 7, and I'll also check out that 6+2 as well. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors video review.